Welcome back to the Unaware Podcast.
What's up, guys?
The show where we talk about the overall idea that it's okay not to know, to be unaware. Today we got some great things on the agenda.
Big things
But as
today.
always, it's your host, Andrew Ludi.
And your man, the myth, the legend, Paul Canner.
Can you be a little more cocky there?
Feeling cocky today, Andrew.
For those of you who are watching the video, you can see that we have a third gentleman sitting with us. And actually, if you watched last week's episode, we teased his appearance. So please welcome my good friend, my college roommate, the man from Detroit, Charlie Yoo, everyone. Welcome.
Tesla owner.
That's true. He does own Tesla.
Tesla leaser. All right,
Leaser.
How you doing today, Charlie?
I'm doing good. So for those of you that don't know, I'm Charlie, Andrew's roommate from freshman year, and now good friend, I guess.
What do you mean, I guess?
I guess.
I don't know. Yeah, good
I guess
We
friend.
were only
good
roommates
friends.
freshman year, and this is still like a year after graduation.
Oh, yeah.
So
No.
I'd say good friends.
Definitely good friends. Yeah. So we went to school all 4 years.
Yeah.
Where?
We're excited to be on the pod. Miami University. I feel like
With us. They know that.
dedicated
Oh, yeah.
listeners should know that, Paul.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
but
for the new people, you know.
The news. The newsies.
The newbies.
The new people.
But yeah, anyway, so Charlie's on the show. We're thankful to have him. He's going to offer some great perspective and insight. And the man, if you don't know him, loves his data, loves analytics, loves stats, which is so funny because I have one story to set this up real fast. Our freshman year, we were in a business core, and you got to take, your gen eds, right? So we had this intro to statistics course.
Oh,
That
no.
was the worst course I think I took. On par with calc.
Was it like 161 or something?
No, it was
125 and
125
225.
and 225.
That makes sense. Yeah.
And Charlie and I were taking it at the same time. And I remember this day because it's just so ironic, is we finished the final exam. And we both walked into our room, and Charlie looks at me and goes, "That is the last stats class I am ever going to take.
No, it was worse than
Thank
that.
God."
I said, I'm never doing statistics again, and give you a giant high five.
And then some way, somehow, the man is now doing that for work. So I'll let you pick up there.
Yeah.
What happened? What changed? How'd you get into it?
So basically, I started working for a hospital after freshman year, doing just stuff within marketing. They gave me like a bunch of different jobs, stuff with branding, stuff with like smallest thing you think of, make sure like the logo on all the forms was right. It was just a big list of things. One thing, they just pulled me aside one day, like one of my bosses, and she said, "Hey, take like half a day, look at our Google Analytics platform, and see, if you like it." And I ended up spending the whole day with it, like working through lunch, and spent the next day on it. Like I had other stuff I had to be doing, but I was like, wait, this is cool. I think I found something. I don't want to go deep into it now because I think it's like private information, but
He would get sued.
yeah. But either way, it was just super cool to me. And the entire time I was just like Googling stuff like, oh, how do I do this? Oh, I remember like hearing about just whatever it was at the time I was doing. And I just got obsessed with it. And suddenly I'm like, okay, I need to explore this more. Like I might have not liked those 2 intro classes, but I need to like learn more about this. Yeah, they were terrible. So I took then just a couple more classes that weren't required. They were just kind of extra. Realized once I got past the intro stuff and actually got deep into it, I loved it. And so I started doing it more and more, and then eventually declared a minor and had those almost completely done. Could have graduated early, but then I decided I was going to declare a double major in business analytics, and
Whoa.
now it is my professional career.
Quite the turn of events.
I would say so, going
would
from
say.
never doing stats again to now getting paid to do stats.
Famous last words.
Oh, man.
Couldn't be me. Tell you that much.
Yeah. Same. Well, to be fair, I could have the same story, but I never did anything stats after
have been
that.
you.
So I'm okay, though. I'm content
What
with
if?
where I'm at. That's true. What if? Who knows? Maybe one day I'll go into, I don't know, business analytics or something.
Probably
Everybody
not.
else is.
I know. People are doing
Hot
it.
field.
It is. So why do you love it? What happened in that, where'd that the draw come from?
Yeah, it was like solving at least in the summer job, it was like solving a puzzle, whereas in the classes, it was solving problems in a book, which is like important to learn, and looking back and seeing, it's looking at everything in hindsight, like that stuff was super important for what I was then going to learn. but it was just solving problems in a book and, trying to find the right answer and trying to, basically get an A and try to put as little work in as possible so that you could go to the bar. And yeah, it's just, in hindsight, that's just not the way that any math should be taught, but definitely not that stuff, because it's like the cool thing about any kind of statistics or data or modeling, it's like you're simplifying reality and also trying to solve the puzzle. You're trying to figure out like what different data points are telling you in like a broader context. And it's kind of hard to do when you're just literally doing a problem that you got in a book from a data set from the 90s.
Yeah,
That's
true.
Yeah.
You feel like
the flight data set. That one.
you feel like the stuff you're doing like at this job was like actually meaningful, whereas like opposed to school, you're just like, this is useless.
To get an A.
There's no point of doing this.
Yeah, it was to get an A,
Like-
but it was also like I don't want
Like
to blame
the
the
stats
professors.
didn't really matter to anything that was happening like anywhere really, right?
It's not that it didn't matter. It was just that it wasn't put in any kind of like meaningful context. I feel like there's like so much data out there, and I had other professors that did this, like especially once I got into the later stats classes, and also in like the marketing analytics class I took. Or like in the marketing analytics class I took, we literally got to pick like a company we thought was cool and do like text mining on them. So me and a couple of friends, we picked like Coach versus Michael Kors, because we were just kind of like, oh, that would be cool to look at. Some other people did like finding the best nightclubs in Vegas, which ended up being like the funniest, coolest presentation ever. But yeah, it's just I feel like if they had worked a little bit harder to make it more meaningful for the students, to make it actually interesting, and like realize like, oh, this is actually how you can apply these techniques that we're teaching you in real life, that could have been more interesting. And it would have been possible too. I mean, I know it's an intro class, so it's a lot more diverse of the students, and not everyone can do the thing they want to do, because there might not be good data for it, or it might just be impossible, or they might not put any effort in because they know they're not going to be stats majors and they just want to finish. But yeah, I feel like it would have been possible.
That was me. Can I please just finish this class?
Oh, yeah,
already?
it was. I mean, like the quizzes you got 3 tries on them, and then they also like showed you when you got the wrong answer and what the right answer was. It was like, okay, come on.
Yeah.
That was also me when I took stats. I was like, please just let this be over with. I never want to take another
Dude,
math
in the
class
second
again.
exam, they didn't let me use my calculator, and I knew how to do stats because of that dang
Well, it's not like you're going to have a
calculator.
calculator in your pocket all the time. Come on.
Oh, or, you can't just Google
What?
calculator or anything like that. Never. You have to know it
Never.
up here. Which I get. You got to understand
Yeah,
it.
but in class,
gonna-
you had to have like a real calculator, or else they thought you were cheating.
Yeah, and I did. They didn't let you use it on the exam.
That sucks.
For the first one they did, because we had to use JMP.
Yeah,
Right.
it's just stupid. Don't go.
The man
I
doesn't
don't know
like it.
what that means.
The software that you can use.
It's actually okay, but it's like, again, the way it was just so boring. Like, why do realistically, I'm learning how to do this stuff on a computer already. That's kind of boring. Why on top of that do you think that I will find the flight logs of LA airport and whether or not that's going to cause a 30-second delay remotely interesting? Like, there's so much cool data out there that we could have been putting in this program, and we just never did.
Yeah. I feel like that just needs an update in all of the materials.
Yeah, and I
a
feel
lot
like
of classes.
Yeah, that's not just stats either.
Yeah.
Like, there's just so many things where, like, when the teacher makes it relevant to the student, then it's like, oh, I get what I'm gonna be doing, and I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure why that happens, but it definitely does.
That's just education for you.
I feel like, well, there are professors that make it. So, like, for example, I won't say him by name, but you had one professor you loved. So, like, what was different? Why, like, how did he teach, instruct, stuff like that? Like, to pull you into statistics, even with.
Yeah, he was. First of all, it was his first semester ever teaching. He'd just gotten his PhD.
Whoa.
So it definitely wasn't like he knew how to teach so well because he'd been doing it for so long. Like, he was brand new. And realistic, it was because it might have helped a little bit that he was younger, so he was a lot fresher and a lot of stuff, and he was a lot more like he would play music every time we walked into the classroom. It would
That's
always
fun.
be
Walk-in
like,
music.
Amazing.
It would be bops. It was like awesome. But I think it was just because he also just was interested in like connecting us with the stuff he was so. At the end of the day, I think it comes down to like passion. Like, if the professor is passionate about it, then they want their students to then be passionate about it. It's not just they want their students to learn, and the students should be grateful that they're in the presence of this guy who's so good, like this subject that he studies. It's more like they are so passionate about it, they want other people to like it as much, and so they'll just do anything it takes to make sure their kids end up loving it, whether that means like letting their kids do a project on actual like Vegas nightclubs. Like, I can't think of many professors that will let me do that, but those kids now fell in love with the subject. And like, I remember at the last day of class, a bunch of kids stayed after, like talked to this professor, asking him like, oh, how can I keep learning about this stuff? I have never seen that before.
Whoa.
Yeah.
What if the professor also went through an experience where he's like, oh, stats is the worst. And then he did like a complete like flip around, and he's like, I love stats.
I think he
like
was
something happened to him.
I think he was just a genius. He literally had, like, he has a master's in neuroscience and a PhD. He's a genius. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
He's just a cool guy.
But it's also cool.
And he has a master's in neuroscience, and he's
and a
teaching
PhD
stats at Miami University.
He did his PhD in, I believe, text analysis or something like
Guy's
that.
a legend.
No, consumer behavior. PhD. Yeah, he did his PhD in consumer behavior.
And it's still cool that he can come to a university and like be passionate about something. Because I think you're right. I think when people are passionate about something, it gets the people around them like, dude, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Like, that's kind of like one goal of having guests on this show is to get people to talk about what they're passionate about and like hear that.
Yeah.
And that's just one big reason, like, because then you want to do it. It's not like that, like your example of the airport stats. What does this mean to me? And they're not excited about it. They say that they're monotone, right? So it's cool that he was passionate. I think that helped you probably.
I think it's that. I think it's a mix of that, and also when you like something so much, you want other people to like it, and you just in anything, people have this like natural tendency to be resisting because it's like it's new, it's scary, it's different. But then.
Sounds familiar.
Oh, yeah, good segue. But when you love something so much and you want other people to love it, like you find ways to make them love it.
Yeah.
So like for you, bring this up because you just brought that up. I have a friend named David who was like, about stats. And we were at OPUB one night and I somehow it came up. And you're like, dude, give him my number. Like, I want to talk to him because that was me.
Yeah.
And I'll like, what happened?
So he was also marketing, came with marketing, really good at math, but just didn't know how to apply it really to math. And yeah, it sounded like it was exactly like me, where he hated stats. He thought he wanted to do data analytics, but then didn't. That's a little bit different than me. But I talked to him for probably like 30 or 45 minutes, and I felt like I was looking at like a time machine because, you know, the more I talked about it, the more I think he literally said, I kind of like how it's like you're problem solving, you're solving a puzzle. And I was like, that's literally what I say about it all the time. So you really need to do this, like, please. And I think he declared a minor at least.
He's doing it.
Yeah, no, and I feel like
Very
it's the
nice.
same thing though, where like I just wanted him to do it so badly because I knew just the way he was talking, the way he was, you know, kind of beaten
like,
down
"That
a
was
little bit,
me."
but still really, really liked this thing that I was also really interested in. I was like, you have to do it. Just try it. You have nothing to lose.
Yeah. I mean, he wasn't going to do it because I talked to him about it. He's like, I'm just not going to do it. And I was like, well, I have this friend named Charlie. He kind of did the same thing. And then you were like, give him my number, which was super cool.
Yeah.
Because you're like, I want to talk to this kid. Like, you went out of your way. You've never met him. And then you talked to him. And it changed his life. Like, that's going to change the trajectory of where he goes at his first job.
Well, it's the same thing. I'm passionate about it, and I want other people to be who I see like have an interest in it or have the potential to be very great at it. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's cool.
Yeah.
Like, that gets me excited just hearing about that. Like, people sharing passion, just going for it. What's been hard, though, about data analytics stats? Like, has there been a time that you're like, this sucks?
Well, the content's hard. Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of math, so that in and of itself, but I've always kind of had like the analytical brain, and so like, you know, I can figure it out. But I think the hardest thing is the fact that it is so new and it's always changing. And so at least this is what I've found ever since graduation, where when you're in school, you have these professors that are like constantly up to date with what the next cool program is or what it, you know. I feel like now that I'm graduated, I don't have access to that. They told me that like, oh yeah, by the way, guys, this is all going to be out of date by the time that, you know, the next 2 classes roll in. So I'm like genuinely terrified about being like just not paying attention for a couple of years. And then suddenly everything I do, everything that I could ever think, it was just outdated, and I have to like relearn everything. That is like a genuine fear
you have
ever
to
since
learn the new
graduation.
stuff.
Yeah. Not even just learning the new stuff. It could just be like completely different and completely outside of my ability, you know?
Your expertise.
Yeah, my expertise. And also just like, if I just slack on it for a couple of years, everything's changed and I know nothing. That's been a fear since graduation.
You can tell me if I'm wrong, but I think that's awesome. Because here's the thing. You're going to continue to be a student, and you're not going to get, like, I don't want to say this, but a lot of people who are at their job for a long time doing the same thing get lazy. They don't care. They think they know it all. Like, that job almost humbles you constantly, keeps you learning, which I think is great.
Yeah, it's cool. And also, there's so many things that haven't even like scratched the surface. By the way, if anyone's interested in this, I recommend going to R Data Science on Reddit. That's like, I read that. I'm on that daily. But
Shameless plug.
Shameless.
it's not a plug. I mean, I'm not involved at all, but it's just, that's what I read. So if you're interested, go to it. But what were we talking about?
So for people who are, let's say, in David's shoes, like, what would you say to them?
I would say to them, you're talking about just with data science?
Sure.
I would say to them, if you're good at math and you like solving problems, then it's like the perfect thing for you. And also if you like computers and you like doing sort of business thinking and being just a little bit creative on one side, and you're also just really well-rounded, like, go for it. It's not that hard. You just have to learn the math and then learn how to code. It's going to take a long time, but go for it. Like, there's so many resources out there if you want to learn it too. There's so many like online courses you can take. There's like a free book, Introduction to Statistical Learning with Applications in R. It was written by these like Stanford professors, 100% free. Shows you how to do everything. The math is kind of complicated, but there's just so many resources out there. If you want to learn
Positive.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to be too rosy about it, but there's so many resources out there because everyone, I like at my company right now, they said it's just impossible to hire data science. It's like computer scientists. There's just not, or computer engineers. There's just not enough of them anywhere because they all get snatched up by like Facebook, so that Facebook can, figure out every thought you're ever thinking. Mark Zuckerberg, I don't know.
What a guy, Mark Zucker.
Zuck.
The Zuck man.
Zuck. Well, no, that's cool. Any more questions for our friend Charlie before we go on to the main topic?
Yeah. So, I guess, what was your favorite, like, statistical or, like, project that you've worked on, like, since, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
No idea.
Yeah. What's your favorite project?
Yeah, what's your favorite project?
Within the world of data science.
Definitely the
Data
most
science.
like meaningful one. I wouldn't say I haven't. Granted, I'd like just graduated, so I haven't been given super important stuff. But after I worked for the Center for Analytics and Data Science at Miami, I did that 2 semesters. I did sign an NDA, so I have to be careful what I say here. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
talk
so
about
I
the
worked for a
overall
big
idea.
hospital system, and they just asked us to build like a model that could forecast future surgery volume, and just seeing that data play out. I think it was the last like 5 years. And first of all, seeing COVID is always fun because if you look at any set of data that any time series, it's going to go like this, it might go a little bit up, a little bit down, up to March 2020, and then something crazy is going to happen, and then it's just going to go back to like this flat line or going like sort of up, sort of down. Literally, no matter, I don't care if you're looking at toilet paper sales, surgery volume.
I don't know about the toilet paper shortage in March 2020.
Toilet paper.
Yeah. Hotel stays, podcast equipment sales.
Yeah.
Probably weed sales. Literally everything. Everything goes like that. Anyways. But it was really, honestly, no, it was really cool because, again, going back to the idea of like actually putting meaning to the numbers, because that's all at the end of the day when you're building a model or when you're running tests, that's all, it's just simplified versions of reality. It's like you're just looking at a set of numbers that help you wrap your brain around what the actual thing that you want to find out is. Because if you want to know like the whole truth, you just look at a thing. But if you want to go deeper, you have to do some sort of like science or stats or modeling or something. So again, that was just a really cool experience doing it for a hospital.
Yeah. Like meaningful.
Yeah, I know. They actually said they were going to
Important.
use it, and they were like, "Oh, cool! Now we can." There's the different things we did for forecasting. They were like, "Oh, we're going to apply this to our models now. Thank you. We're going to be able to book surgeries more accurately."
You made a lasting impact on the hospital.
Yeah,
That's sweet.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So
Well,
wholesome.
Yeah, that's way to be wholesome, Charlie.
Yeah.
oh yeah, all about wholesome.
Using data to be wholesome. Who knew? I didn't.
I was
You can
unaware.
also use it to be evil, but just please, if aspiring data scientists don't, because it's scary.
Don't sell your soul to someone bad.
To Mark Zuckerberg.
He's gonna come at us. He's gonna
We're
cancel
gonna
this
get
pod.
canceled.
We're starting a war.
Let's go, Facebook. Come on.
Yeah, come on, bring it on.
What are you gonna do?
We'll fight it. Yeah. They'll bring us down. Cancel us, hide us. Make where all the algorithms don't show us.
They'll make us disappear.
Well, if you don't hear from us after this podcast, you know why.
We're at Zuckerberg's compound in Hawaii.
Well, if we're in Hawaii, that wouldn't honestly be bad.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. We can't say that because who knows what will happen. But anyway, thanks, Charlie, for talking about that, kind of talking about who you are, what you do. If you want, I can put your email in the description. So if people have questions about data analytics or something, they can reach out to you or not.
My secondary email.
Yeah, not your main one. You can make
Or your
a burner one.
Instagram handle.
Yeah, if you want people to follow you, we can talk about it. It's whatever he wants to afterwards, but put him on the spot. LinkedIn, his phone number, his birth certificate, and social security number will all be in the description.
So my bank numbers are 125.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
You want the routing number or the account number?
Both, please.
Both.
Okay, yeah.
Preferably, we ask for both here.
Yeah, it just helps us just know you better.
So we can pay you.
Yeah. What con? There's no such thing. But today, I actually didn't bring this up in the beginning, but the main topic that we kind of want to discuss and get into is the idea, just overall lifestyle of trying new things. Not only that, but sticking with it. Because I think that's a two-part story, right? Some people, it's easy to try new things. And then you let's say you love it, and then it's really, really hard to stick with it. I don't know why, but that's just a thing a lot of people struggle with. So we're going to get into that. And to kind of get into that, approximately 2 hours ago, our friend Charlie here did something wild, and we have not debriefed on it. So this is for real, the first time we're talking about it.
Wait, you don't know?
I asked him one question afterwards, and he goes, we've talked a lot about this topic a lot.
Fresh
So this is all fresh.
for me
The
and
last
Andrew.
2 hours collecting my thoughts.
Do you want to set it up, or do you want me to set it up?
Yeah, I went skydiving for the first time.
He jumped out of a perfectly working airplane
Yeah.
for the first time today.
Yeah.
Crazy, man.
It was electric.
And I will say, I've tried so hard to get a friend to jump out of a plane with me. And Charlie, last week I was at the place packing a bag, and I called him, and he's driving home, and he's just like, yeah, I'll jump next weekend.
Yeah.
Why not? I've always wanted to. This is amazing.
I'd just like to say that I also agreed
Paul,
to
when are you
jump,
going? When are you
but
going?
I
He
cannot
medically can't.
Oh, you can't?
for health reasons.
His back.
All right, well, at least you
My
got a
back,
good reason.
my heart, anything.
My back.
At least your reason isn't cowardice. That's fine.
I'm not a coward, dude.
Nah,
No,
he was
I
going to do it.
I was
he
so
told
down
me-
to
he
do
told
it.
me he was going to do it.
Yeah, well, so just real quick so everyone knows, my life philosophy is I'll try anything once except for incest and folk dancing.
And I always add on other things that he's like, I guess I want to do that, but I won't do that here.
Yeah, either way. Definitely not PG, but there's very few things that you've ever said, let's do this, and I've said no to. Except for getting Skyline today, but
That is the one thing. Getting Skyline today that he said no to. Only because
You didn't want Skyline?
he was tired. He needed to sleep
we
before.
just ate too.
We just eaten.
But either way, anything, I feel like there's very few things that I've ever just, when someone's like, do you want to do this? That is not like a time constraint or something like that, that I've been like,
Yeah.
oh, no, I don't want to. That's
But
not-
even then, skydiving to the general person is another level. So, how did you feel about going into this? And then just, kind of walk us through, how you were feeling today. And you can even go into the post jump.
Yeah, like how are you feeling this whole week knowing that you're going to be jumping out of an airplane?
Well, I had a busy week, so I tried not to think about it. But honestly, I was surprised at how not nervous I was.
Telling people it's not as scary as you think.
Yeah, I was like the whole time leading up to it, I was kind of just like, I mean, like the chances are like super low of anything bad happening, first of all. Second of all, like if people were dying left and right skydiving all the time, I feel like it would be more regulated, so some idiot like me couldn't just pay and then do it.
Plus, if you did die, that'd be a dope way
instantaneous, you know, and don't feel anything.
It'd be kind of sick, but
at least you got to do it.
Yeah,
you're like, I got to skydive before I died.
Yeah,
you
I
get
just
to fall
happened to
longer
have
than
died
most
while I was
you get to fall longer
skydiving.
than most people, so that's kind of but either way. And also, like, I wasn't nervous really at all leading up. Going up in the plane was definitely the most nervous I was.
When when the plane went, whoom,
yeah, it was like
the heart.
And not only that, it's also like a Cessna, you know, so it's not like in a 747 where nothing's rattling, hopefully. And
it's a little mini
you're
plane.
Just sitting there. You're literally, there's no seats in it. You're just sitting like on the ground, the door.
Well, weren't you sitting on the dude's lap? Or
well, no. In the beginning, I was kind of just like sitting in between his legs, and then when we got like up to
he hooked
9,000, hooked me.
Started getting ready because you jumped at 12 today.
Yeah. But the door is like this like flappy piece of plastic, and then you were showing
it's metal.
me.
It's metal.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But it acts like a wing, so when you open it, it stays open because the way it's shaped, the air keeps it up.
That makes sense.
It's like another wing.
But there was a video that you showed me of Will Smith talking about skydiving where he's, talking about the anticipation, and then he kind of says like, oh, and then when that door opens, you realize you've never been in an airplane with an open door before. And I had that exact moment. I was like, oh my God, dude.
And like
the wind was insane.
Yeah, when the door opens,
loud.
it's like, like it hits.
Yeah,
that realization.
I made the mistake of looking
I
down.
recently saw that interview with Will Smith talking about skydiving.
It's awesome. I've shown it to everyone I've taken skydiving, and it gets them out the door. So it works.
Yeah.
They should just have it playing on loop in the waiting area.
They should, honestly. Or just, I honestly wouldn't mind watching it going up, because going up was the most terrifying thing, where it was like...
Well, because you're just sitting there. You know you're in the plane, and it's time to
it's
do
go
it or
time.
shut up and go back
I now
down.
understand why airplane windows are so small, too, because I used to think it would be really cool if airplanes had a glass floor, because it would be, you could look down, you could see so much.
And
then I realized now they're small, because then your perspective is like looking only outwards, not down at all. Like if you tried, you'd have to press your face up against the window. But if you're just sitting there looking out the window, you wouldn't really see as much down. You're mainly looking out. So I now get that, because that plane had a lot of
you can see
stuff.
You can see everything.
And just looking out the window, you can see how freaking high you are. And I was shaking a little bit. I was nervous, but I'm like, I'm definitely gonna not do this. Like, I'm
I know.
Gonna go out of that plane.
Like in that moment when the door opens, you realize like you got to do it.
You're doing this,
or else you go down and you're like, then you're just gonna be so mad and regret it.
Yeah.
So this is my favorite thing. Like everyone that comes down, I always ask, like when you get your feet out, because you have the guy behind you and he's still there, but you're basically hanging out of the plane.
Mm-hmm.
What was going through your mind in that moment? Because that's where everyone kind of differs, I think.
You told me not to swear, so I'm just going to say lots of swear words were going, and then it was the moment where he was sitting and I was basically dangled, essentially, right before he jumped, and then there was just a moment of complete silence where I just had no thoughts at all. And then it was just
oh my gosh!
screaming and yelling, and I guess I just have to watch. I didn't black out. That was the thing that I was most like, I hope this doesn't happen, because it would suck, where I've heard people just black out and don't remember. I remember that. I'm going to remember that free fall.
I haven't seen that happen yet, so I don't know if that's that common.
I've just heard it. I think one of my friends who went skydiving once said
Really?
it happened to him, and he was like all mad. So I'm like, that better not be.
Yeah.
But I will remember that fall for the rest of my life, because it was the coolest thing ever. It was literally like you could see the curve of the earth. I don't know if you actually could. I'm like, yelled at.
You can.
Earth's flat anyway. I could see where the ships
ice
were
wall.
I could see where the ships were falling, because they had hit the edge. It was really no, it was just incredible. Super glad I did it. Thank you for putting that out there. I've wanted to do it since 4th grade, when my 4th grade teacher, for her anniversary, went skydiving and showed us a video. So life bucket list item achieved.
Did you get a video?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're editing it. They're going to send it to me tomorrow.
Amazing.
I also took some of him landing and jumping out. He's a little like a speck. And I zoomed all the way in, and it's like, wee. And then you see the chute open. Right. And it's cool because 2 other pro divers jumped out before him. So you see them going like, because they're married, and they like crisscross, and then they do all these.
They were holding
so
hands
cool.
in the plane. It was so cute.
They're literally like the coolest people because they always like jump out and do sick stuff together. So they were like crisscrossing, and you could watch them, and then they both opened and did like these flips together.
Oh,
Goals.
And Charlie's still there just falling because they dove
They're
straight
going,
head
like-
down where they were arching because they want you to be up there as long as possible.
Yeah.
Whereas the other 2 were like head down, like crushing it.
like diving down.
Yeah. Like actually diving.
Well, they were all packed up by the time I hit the ground, too.
Yep.
I was
Yep.
like,
So, and because when you're in the air in the canopy, like how you move is how elevation works. So, like if you do a sharp turn and you do a 360, you drop elevation. But if you just stay straight, you float more because the lift. When
Yeah.
you do the turn, you're basically just dropping in a straight line. So you can kill like a lot of elevation. And this guy was doing flips and like everything, and he was landed probably a good 4 minutes before Charlie did.
yeah. I wanted to spend as much time up there.
Yeah, that's what they do. They do that on purpose. They don't do, and the 360s are like, you feel it. Like you
I did
feel,
a couple turns, but then I was kind of like, oh, it's nice up here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you just look around, and
Yeah.
it's just this blissful, peaceful moment.
Yeah,
Like-
and it wasn't like once I was out, it was not scary at all. Like especially once the chute. Well, okay, it was scary when I was free falling, but
Yeah, I
once
feel
the
like
chute
that's
had
the
opened,
scary
I was
part.
like, okay, now like nothing's gonna. This is just gonna be a peaceful ride down, and it happens millions of or thousands of times a day. So
It does.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so like the free fall is the like scariest part, right? Obviously.
yeah, well, there's different kinds of scary. There's scary in like the thrilling sense, and then there's thrilling in the anticipation sense. The thrilling sense is fun, and that's when it was like just awesome, scary.
Yeah.
The going up is like it's a mix of like
You're just like, this is kind of
freaking out.
Yeah.
It was like going over the jump ramps on water skiing for the first time. It was like, what decisions have I made in life that led me to this exact thing? Like, how did I get here? What did I do?
Just like looking down.
Yeah,
at
you
where
ever start having an
at where
existential
Ludi is,
crisis,
and you're just like,
I couldn't see.
How did I
you were
get here?
you were 12,000 feet in the air. I
no,
couldn't
you're just
even
looking
see
in
you.
its general direction.
So, how long did it last? Because this is something different people say. Because I know how long it was, actually.
Oh, you're trying to like
like
guessing the
how
free
long
fall
do
time?
you think it was?
Probably like maybe a minute.
Okay, that's interesting. A lot of people say it feels like 10 to 15 seconds.
Yeah.
It was actually probably about 40 to 45
Okay. Yeah.
was free fall for you.
Yeah.
With just
that
the
makes
free fall?
sense.
Mm-hmm.
I remember
Free fall.
all of it. Like there was definitely the adrenaline was rushing, but I like
Sensory
was-
overload hits, your
yeah.
brain clears, and you're like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Whoa.
I remember
Free falling for 45
Yes,
seconds?
at
Yeah.
12,000 feet. So the way the math works now, you
Yeah, I
guys
would
wait a
love
little
to know
more.
how the
So,
math works.
but you also caught more air. So it could vary depending on how the wind was. But the first 1,000 feet takes about 10 seconds.
Okay.
Every 1,000 feet after that, once you hit terminal velocity, it's 5.6 seconds.
Okay. Holy jeez.
So you're falling 1,000 feet, basically about 5 to 6 seconds. That's how you're going about 130 miles per hour, 127,
so
130 miles
cool.
per hour. So you had a little more weight, so you probably might have felt a little faster.
He was falling at 130 miles per
Around
hour.
there, yeah. Like it varies between like 125 and 130, but like they were 2 people, but he's a smaller guy, so like the math always works out. It's somewhere around that area. So yeah, he was falling that fast.
That's so sick.
What?
I know you're not supposed to look down, but I definitely I had my.
Oh no, you can look down once it's more of
Yeah.
like
Just seeing the
people do
ground
this.
coming at you is like, oh my god, I'm getting closer, and then when the chute pulled, I made sure to like look straight down.
yeah.
That's so cool.
So did you do any like flips or anything, or was it just falling straight?
I think we flipped going out of the plane. We definitely didn't start out with like
Arching.
arch flat. Like we definitely tumbled like just a little bit. But for most of the fall, no, we were like completely
Yeah,
flat,
yeah.
and I am okay with that for a first time. To be honest.
My first jump, the guy's like, "Hey, do you want to do flips?" And I was like, Heck yeah. So we left the plane and we were just like,
Nice.
and then 2 years later, I am becoming a skydiver. So it
I
worked
got
out.
something to aspire to then. That'll be for the next
That's
time.
so sick.
That'll be for the next time.
So where are you at now? So you've had like 2 hours to process it because you jumped. You got out of the plane at 5:45 and it's 8:11.
Charlie's like, I want to get certified right now. Like Andrew.
Yeah, but where I am right now is I don't understand how drugs are legal and that's legal because it's the same thing. It's like it's a high, and I can see why people do it. It's definitely going to be addicting, and I definitely want to do it
addicted?
again.
I would say so.
Yeah.
To skydiving? Well, like, I don't know if I've said it on the show, but I've said it multiple times to people. That is the most, like, peaceful moment of my week.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like, it's the funnest and most peaceful because when you're up there, like, me as an individual, I am go, 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 go. I have something planned from, like, 7 a.m. to 12 at night, like, always. And so when I'm, like, when that canopy opens and I'm just chilling, my brain is clear. Like, I can just be in that moment, having no worries, not thinking about anything, looking around and being like, this is amazing. Like, true, pure bliss, almost. That's how I always describe it to people, because they're like, how does it feel? You can't really describe the feeling. Could you?
Not really, no, because it's nothing I've ever done has been that big of an adrenaline rush before.
Like,
and
the
for
best I
that
got is
long,
bliss.
for that long too.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I'm like exhausted right now. There was a high afterwards where I was, oh my god, I was just like antsy. I couldn't even talk. And now it's like every endorphin, every piece of serotonin or whatever, every piece of adrenaline in my body is just gone.
It was used in that boom.
It was used, yeah, because it's just for so long. You know, it's just so much like, oh my god, you're first of all, even though you're not in danger, like your
it feels like
brain
you're
thinks you're in
falling,
danger.
dude.
Oh my
And,
gosh.
Yeah, it was insane, and I would definitely do it again. And this is not financial advice, but I recommend do. I don't know. That's what they always say on Wall Street Bets. I would recommend doing it. You know, like the guy asked me at the end. He's like, "What's your advice for the couch potatoes out there?" And I'm like, "Just do it." Literally, it's like if you can do it, then please do. That was awesome,
Yeah.
and like it'll just be once in a lifetime experience.
For most people, yeah.
I guess that's the only place you can get it.
Yeah.
That's the only place you can get that kind of experience so far that I've found.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's awesome. So if anyone wants to go out there, I will take you.
I want to go.
If you want to disobey your doctor's orders, but I won't make you. So
Well, I'll do it one day.
Give them a plug. What's it called?
it's Skydive Cincinnati. It's this family run, like, just everyone there is so amazing. I think the girl now that owns it, I think her dad's dad started it, and it's been around for a while.
Oh, wow.
And they've had jumps there. It's on this farm. You can chill out. There's couches. There's vending machines. Heck, there's even a Tetris arcade machine.
Can I come watch you?
Yeah, you can come watch
I can
whenever
just
you
come
want.
watch and chill.
There's picnic tables. You can get food. You can watch people land.
It's a very tight community.
Yeah, and like,
Do I have to pay to
Nope.
get in?
no, it's a parking lot. You walk up and there's a field.
Big
And there's
bet.
picnic tables, and they have geese there, and a pig, and
Yeah.
dogs.
Alright,
a lot of people
so-
have dogs.
There's like couches. Like we were just like sleeping.
We
on
played
the couches,
chess.
waiting. Yeah. It was
Like,
fun.
it's my favorite place to go chill. And actually, for this podcast, I go there and I edit it while I'm there, and then I jump out of planes, and I come back and edit it, and then I jump out of planes.
God, your life is so hard.
Dude, seriously, bro.
So yeah, it's an amazing place, and what's really cool is I'm a student, and I haven't been able to go as much, right, like as I would like, because it's been a busy summer. But they're like, all right, you paid for the full thing, you're family. Like, we expect to see you here every weekend, and like they grill out afterwards.
Family dinner?
They grill out and they have fun. They drink. We play cornhole, and they just do that.
Dude.
Like, there's bonfires. People camp there like at night. And I mean, the people that work there are from all over, like, and have jumped all over the world, have done crazy things, have cool stories. And it's just everyone's there like, oh, hey, man, like, and they're so willing to talk.
It was cool seeing you walk around and like know people. You know, it's kind of
Yeah.
like how you imagine like
film a
going to the old
podcast
bar
there.
or something.
I would do that. I would interview Jamie, the owner. She's amazing.
Should
I love
film
her.
a podcast in the plane and then jump out.
Oh, wow.
Just be like, all right, guys,
Live
I'll see you
podcast.
later.
Dude, honestly,
You could
the
have,
best
like, a
intro.
world record for like the highest
Podcast.
Yeah.
I'm gonna film one section of me up in a plane just so we can say that we are the highest podcast.
Pretty sure the
Highest
Elon Joe
altitude.
Rogan podcast.
Yeah,
was the highest
that was
podcast.
definitely higher, but we'll have elevation, and altitude on them.
The
for
highest
sure.
elevation that a podcast
Yeah.
has been recorded.
Yep. That's a good idea. But no, I'm glad you liked it, man.
I loved it. I loved it. I'm going again, definitely.
Yeah. Whenever I get my license, we can jump wherever
We have
want
another
in the
addict.
world. So it's just different.
Yeah.
So again, if people want to jump, seriously, let me know and I will take you. I will give you
You wanna
that the
jump?
family treatment.
We'll draw your name out of the tip jar, and then you can jump with Andrew.
One day, if this podcast makes money, I will pay for it. I'll take people
Nice.
One day.
when we get there. We'll get there. But so that's like you tried a new thing today, and I think that is a bit of an extreme new thing.
Yeah.
But in life, there's all these opportunities to do new stuff. Go try new things. Do you guys have any off the top of your mind? Like besides skydiving, it doesn't have to be as extreme. It could be as small as trying.
I got
food.
a bunch off the top of
Yeah,
my
I
mind.
mean, yeah,
so
same.
I
I
guess
can go.
List
talking
them off.
about the whole idea of sticking with stuff and trying new things. I've never been someone that struggled with doing something new because I'm ADD, attention deficit disorder, like as heck. Try not to swear.
Thank you, appreciate it. Helps the pod.
So literally, I can just like glom onto something new, get obsessed with it, get super like overly stimulated by it, and throw myself into it. And then within 3 months, I've completely fallen off of it, and then and never even touched it again. Like I was really obsessed with records for a while. I thought data was going to be a thing that happened. It has not happened with data. That's the one thing that
Well, it's not
I've
your job.
been
You kind of have to do it.
well, yeah, but let's see what else. Photography is something that I go back and forth on, where I'm obsessed with it for like 4 months, and then suddenly I'm not.
Same.
But that one is another one that I've stuck with. But there's more different genres of music. I bounce around genres of music all the time. Like suddenly I'm listening to I'm gonna get really obsessed with like the British invasion, and then suddenly
Hamilton.
EDM. I'm gonna listen to Hamilton for like 3 months straight. And that's the only thing I'm gonna listen to.
I haven't
Yeah.
listened to it in a while.
Hey, maybe
Yeah,
I'll become a
same.
show tunes person, and then it turns out no, I kind of hate show tunes, but it's fine.
Yeah.
I don't care if you love them. Yeah, there's just different things. So that's comes with being ADD though, because I've never been someone who's been like, oh, I don't really want to do that thing. It's like there's a new thing. Oh my god, is it fun? Let's go do it. But then it's just sticking with it. That is the thing that is like so hard, and it's like also that is part of the package of starting something new. Is you have to be able to stick with it in the long term. And be willing to accept
Yeah.
how little you know.
Yeah. Would you agree, Paul?
Yeah, I would agree with that. Like for me, this podcast was a brand new thing that we just kind
Hey,
of
what's
we're
up?
just like, hey, you wanna do a podcast? I'm like, sure, yeah, that seems new and fun, and we've stuck with it, dude. We've stuck
Yeah.
with it. We're on episode 5 now or something. 6.
Yeah.
We're in episode 6, Charlie. That's crazy, but yeah, like I picked up guitar a while back.
Guitar's another one.
Stuck with that for a while. Haven't really played in a long time. Haven't really had time. Disc golf, picked that up. Well, I like came back to it. It wasn't like new, but like competing in tournaments was new, and I've been sticking with that. I would like to go skydiving.
We'll do it. We'll find a way.
Yeah,
We'll
I'll
find
have
a
a
way.
back brace or something.
Guitar's another one for me. I
Have a
picked that one up for 3 months, learned 4 chords, and then haven't touched a
G,
guitar
A,
since.
D, and C.
Yeah, probably.
Or no,
G,
E probably.
E minor.
E minor.
E major.
Yeah, probably. But again, I thought
The
I
big
was
4.
going to just be obsessed with guitar for like years, and I was going to do it, and then suddenly I just stopped and haven't picked it up again. Boxing, I briefly joined the boxing club
I
in
remember
Miami
that, yeah.
just because I'm like,
Wait,
this
what?
seems sick. Yeah, and then I just, this new semester rolled around, I didn't go back and completely forgot about it. Like, it's just a thing. Yeah.
I would agree with you. I think there's a lot of things I try just because I like trying new things.
Yeah.
And before we kind of go into the how to stick with it, like what do people get just from your perspective out of trying new things? Like why should people do that? Because listen, it's comfortable not to do new things. Like if you like where you're at, just chilling your life.
Mm-hmm.
To that, like, normal person that's comfortable, there isn't a reason to do it. So why should they?
I think, like, you gain experience in life, like, in obviously new things, but, like, life is about experiencing things. So, like, why would you not try everything you can? You know?
Yeah.
Plus, like, you get an adrenaline rush when it's new and exciting.
Planes.
It depends on what it is, but, like, usually,
Yeah.
like, there's just that, like, you're figuring it out as you go.
Depends on the person, I think.
What do you mean by that?
Well, for me, the reason I like new things is like Paul said, it's just like huge amounts of like stimulation.
Yep.
And there's this whole world that you didn't know about before. But then that gets boring and I walk away from it. But I think there's a bunch of reasons to try. I mean, one, community.
I was about to say that, yeah.
Yeah, it's like you can find new communities when you try new things. I mean, everyone loves community. Everyone loves connection. And so if you find something, you end up, learning more about it and loving it. You have the potential to have a community that you really love. And also just, I mean, there's the old YOLO, like you only live once, like
or why not?
Why would
Why
you
not?
not try
Why
something?
would you not do it?
Yeah, it's like,
I'm just gonna flip and send it, dude.
I'm just gonna send it, bro.
yeah. But there's different reasons
Yeah,
that you
yeah.
could potentially maybe, if you have like a disability or something like that. But there's always stuff out there. There's always something new to do. And I think people have build themselves in these cages of like comfort within their heads where, that might take away time from this other thing that I really love. Realistically, I think if the internet has taught us anything, everyone has too much time on their hands. Like, if you're telling yourself you don't have time, you're telling yourself a lie. Like, you have time to try something new, even if it just means for a little bit, like I do all the time. Like, just try it, see if you like it. If you hate it, try it for a little bit longer. And then if you still hate it, then maybe you can quit.
I like that. Try it a little longer. I like that. But no, I definitely agree with both of you. I think it is different for everyone, like, especially the different levels of what they're trying.
Yeah.
Because it can even go down as small as trying a new meal or recipe or like whatever.
Yeah, I've
right?
recently started trying to cook, like
It's
real
awesome.
food.
I love cooking.
Yeah.
Honestly,
It's so
I
fun.
love cooking. It is.
Like especially when
different
they have
spices
like
and meats
they have
and
like
sauces.
directions and stuff. I'm like,
I never listen to directions. I'm that type of cook.
well,
I
if
apologize.
it's like like I've been getting like HelloFresh meals or whatever, so like it's like specific. Like they have these certain.
I still don't do that.
I do that if
portions.
I'm using a new ingredient that I've never used before.
I'm just like
I'm also not very good at
I do have
cooking.
oil and salt in most things.
Don't have a lot of experience with cooking, so I'm like, I'm gonna follow the directions right now. But like,
Yeah,
as I get better as it,
to be
then-
fair, I'm also not picky. Like, if I eat it, I'm like, oh, this is good. It's good. I know a lot of people are very like so specific on what they want the exact taste to be, and I get that
Yeah.
where they're like, it answered this when I had X amount of this.
Yeah.
and X
Also, I
amount of this.
become like a perfectionist when I cook. It's so weird.
Really.
I'm like, oh, I need this amount and then this amount, and then like I gotta make sure it's chopped up like very neat and nice.
Call him
It's
Paul
so weird.
Ramsey in the
So,
kitchen.
how long are you gonna stick with trying to cook?
No, I don't know, dude. I'm on my last 3 meals. It's expensive.
Is it cheaper than eating out though?
It was the first box. It was $8.99 just because it was free with shipping, but then the second box was like $80
For how many meals?
for 3 meals with 4 portions each.
Oh, 4
Right.
portions. So how many portions do you eat per meal?
2,
So then that's technically 8 meals, right?
technically.
So
yeah.
4, you get 8 total
Mm-hmm.
sittings out of it. And you what, for $80?
Yeah.
So $10 per meal.
Yeah.
Cheaper than eating out.
I didn't even think about it like that, but still.
No, cooking's always cheaper.
I
than
canceled
eating
my subscription because I was like,
You should go to the grocery store.
obviously.
Grocery store is
The reason I did it was because like I
Oh,
got
yeah,
I
yeah,
got
it
sent
gets you
this
into it.
I got sent this free meal and
Heck
I was
yeah.
like, all right, I'll do that. And then I forgot to cancel my subscription.
that's how they get
I got
you, man.
charged
That's
$80
how they get you.
and
Hey,
here I am
Services,
with
stop asking for credit cards, please.
Stop,
Screwed me
stop
so
doing
many
auto
times.
billing. That's what I have to do.
Yeah.
Like, I want to know when that's gonna come out. Don't
like,
don't charge me for
I
it.
didn't really like get an email like, oh,
No, they don't,
what
because
meals
then they know you
do you
cancel it.
want?
I signed up for something. I can't delete my account. I can only get rid of the card. So I don't know if I'm gonna get, and it's like you get the first year for $3, and then the second year is $80. So I just have no idea. It's in like about
just
6
cancel
months.
your card.
I can't. I can only change it to.
But
I
you
can only
cancel.
deactivate. It's still in the
No,
system.
no. You can cancel the card it's linked
I don't
to.
want to do that.
So they can't charge it.
That's inconvenient. I should
Well,
probably
it helps
do
you
that. I should
save.
probably do that though, because they're probably selling. It was a sketchy company. Yeah.
If you can't delete your account,
What was,
yeah,
like, the
it's
product?
sketchy.
Yeah.
What was the
It's
product?
like a photo storing thing.
Oh god.
Interesting.
I tried like 3 different ones. I tried Amazon Photos. I tried this one, and then eventually I just was like, all right, I'm just gonna back it up.
Yeah,
to
now
hard
that
drive.
Google Photos isn't doing them for free.
Yeah, and especially not
Yeah.
raw
Yeah.
files.
It is what it is.
I just had to like up my iCloud storage again.
Dude, yeah, I just have a hard drive. I have like physical hard drives. I just throw them
Yeah,
on.
that's what I did. It was so much easier.
That's smart.
But kind of back to the question,
Back to reality.
I think a lot of people would say they like trying new things. As much as people, don't. Or the other thing I can say is people view trying new things as like the extreme. When I would also still say it's like, oh, you can try a new recipe or you try something new. Like that still
like
counts.
it could be small or big.
Yeah. So I think people generally like trying new things. But I think where the problem comes in is even if they like it, something happens where you don't stick with it.
Don't commit.
I have my own theory on like why, but I'm interested to see what you guys think. Why do people stop doing the things that they just tried and they know they like?
So there's a thing in psychology. I'm not gonna. Okay, I'm gonna sound like one of those guys that's trying to sound like like he has a PhD in psychology. I just read
That's
about
just
it
Charlie.
once, and
That's
it made
who
a
he
lot of
is.
sense.
Classic Charlie.
I don't want to. Anyways, it's called. I just read something about it. It's called the Dunning-Kruger effect, which basically this guy tried to rob a bank, and he thought if he rubbed like lemon juice on himself, he would get hidden from the security cameras. And he
Actually?
was so sure. He was like, "Oh, like I got this. Like this is."
He's like-
some
foolproof.
magic like spell
Like
thing. that he
GTA
read
level
in,
right
like,
there, like cheat code.
Like a witchcraft book. He's like,
Yeah,
oh
exactly.
yeah,
It's foolproof.
lemon
you know?
juice
I'm a
on myself
genius.
makes me invisible.
Oh no, that's so bad.
So he did that.
Got caught.
He robbed a second bank with lemon. I think it was at the same like time. It was like he robbed one
And it
bank.
worked both times.
Well, no, it was within.
He was
like,
invisible.
Within 10 minutes of each other. You know, he robbed his first bank, drove to another bank, robbed another one because he's like, it worked. It worked. I got a 100% success rate. Let's go.
Goes to a third bank.
No, he got caught. At the second bank.
Ran out of
Amazingly.
lemon juice.
Yeah. Got arrested.
Decided to put lime juice on instead.
Yeah.
It
Didn't
worked
work.
way
It didn't
less
work.
than
So he got arrested, obviously, and then he was getting like a psych profile done, you know, trying to
Yeah.
figure out what thing he had that made him do this. And he was like totally cleared. Like he was like, this guy
Schizophrenia.
this guy has no psychological problems. Like he has nothing that we can pick up. And everyone was like, what? How's that possible? He rubbed lemon juice on himself and tried to rob 2 banks in one night. And so these guys, Dunning-Kruger, like studied him, and they kind of realized what he had was something that I think they were like already kind of working on, where this idea where there's sort of like a curve of like on the x-axis it's actual knowledge, and on the y-axis it's perceived knowledge. And so, you know, when you know nothing about something, you just know you know nothing about it. So you're kind of like 0-0 here. Like I know nothing about knitting, and I couldn't knit if I could. Then the second you kind of learn, you know, once you get a little bit into it, you know, once you start learning, you're like, oh my God, I am so good at this. You know,
Yeah.
you're doing like some of the early easy stuff. You're like, this is like so cool and easy. Like I'm a natural. Like I'm so good at this, and I should just keep doing it. So your perceived knowledge is like really, really high, whereas your actual knowledge is, you know, terrible. And then as you get more, as your actual knowledge grows, you kind of you learn what you don't know, and you know like how much more you have to learn. So then you're, you know, if the actual and perceived should be a straight line, it drops below. You know, your perceived knowledge drops below where your actual knowledge is.
So you think you
and
know
you get
more than you do.
demoralized. No, well, that's sort of at the top, and then when you
Yeah.
go along more, you think you know less than you do. And you get super demoralized, and you're like, wow, I have so much. There's so many people that are better than me at this, so much smarter.
Yeah.
Oh my God, everyone's so cool, and I suck, and how am I not a master at knitting after doing it for only a year? How's that 80-year-old who's been doing it for 20 years better than me, you know? So,
Dude,
and
I
it's
think
only
that's
when you
it.
become, you know, sort of at, let's say, like an 8-8 is where you kind of match up, where when you have a decent amount of knowledge about something, you realize there's still a lot you don't know, but you can kind of figure out how to learn those things a lot faster. And yeah.
So what you're saying basically is when they get to that point where they feel like they don't know as much as they actually do is when people start quitting.
Yeah, and when
is that
they
what you're
realize
saying?
how much further they have to go. It's like when you realize, it's sort of like going up a mountain, you know? And
False summit.
yeah, it's like, oh my God, like I'm almost there. And then you reach, yeah, exactly. You reach the top and you're like, there's so much longer
Yeah,
to go. How the
happens to me
heck
all
does
the
anyone
time.
get good at this?
You feel like you spend so much time and energy and effort on this one thing, and then you're like, oh my gosh,
I think it's a
so
cause of
good
a
at
lot of
this
imposter
now.
syndrome.
Yeah.
When you
imposter
first asked
syndrome.
what that was, when you were looking at that, I was like, oh, and I'm like, no, that's not it. But yeah.
But then you realize you're just like, I will never. You have this doubt in yourself. You're just like, I'm never gonna be a master at this.
Right, I'm never
You're,
gonna be
you're like,
good at it.
you're
Yeah.
like, I thought I was a master. I'm not. I'm not. I haven't mastered this. I put in all this time.
Yeah.
I'm not a master in it. And
So
you get like, you have this doubt and you get like down on yourself because you thought that you were somewhere where you weren't.
So do you think people, like,
And I think that causes them to.
do they have the
Stop.
need to be a master at the things they do? Like, are people not satisfied?
I think it depends on what it is. Like if it's something they're passionate about and they're like, or they were passionate about it and then they stopped doing it. But like if they're passionate about it, they want to be a master at it.
I think it's also loss of it, where if you're at that sort of ridiculously high peak of like thinking you're a natural and you were meant to do this and realizing, oh no, you're just a dude, you
Yeah.
know, or a girl, you know, you just fall right in the average where you should be. That can be super demoralizing for people too, because it's like imposter syndrome. It's like, oh my God, I was so ignorant and arrogant to think that I should just walk away. This is just ridiculous.
So have you
Yeah,
guys
it's
felt
like-
that?
Yeah,
like-
dude,
oh,
I
yeah.
feel that all the time. Like with disc golf, especially. I'm like, I watch the professionals like every week, and I'm like, how am I gonna measure up to them ever?
Yeah.
But like I'm gonna keep putting in work. Like I'm gonna try.
Why? Like, what
Because
in that
I'm-
mentality are you going to push through that? Like, what have you decided to do to get over that and keep with it?
Just keep playing because I love it.
So is it the love for it, or just because you like physically recognize that that's a feeling you have and you're going to disregard it?
Kind of both. Like, I mean, people will tell me all the time, like, they're like, oh, you can be a pro, like, blah, blah, blah. And then in my head, I'm like, I'm nowhere close to being a professional disc golfer, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But, like, I'm still going to try
Yeah.
because, like, that's, like,
Why,
like,
though?
why else would I put in all this time and effort?
Yeah, but a lot of people quit there, so why are you not? Have you thought about
I
that?
don't know. I just have a drive to get better. I don't
I'm just curious.
know,
think you
to
need
be
know,
honest.
but-
I think it's just, you kind of have to push through it. It's like something you'll go through no matter what.
Yeah.
Like it's, I think that this has just been observed in a lot of different things that people do.
But how do you push through it?
For me,
You just do.
yeah,
But that's
I'm
not
just
good enough
kidding.
because
I'm
people
just
always
kidding.
get to that point and they're like, everyone's just, oh, just push through it. And people don't, and they quit
Yeah.
and they get discouraged.
this effect is rampant,
Dude,
at least
I-
in Miami University data science. Just, that's what I saw. It might be, it's probably everywhere, but I almost followed that curve perfectly. It was intro stats, hated it. Oh my God. I learned nothing, obviously. So I was like, hell yeah, never doing it again.
Yeah.
And then that project that I did for the hospital over the summer probably was terrible, honestly. I'm talking about it like I suddenly, the data just then spoke to me. No, looking back on it, it was probably not
A line
good.
was shining from the
Yeah,
sky.
but it was just so fun. And then my, bosses ended up like loving it. And so that was a cool thing.
Yeah.
Like, my first ever work project that I did myself,
Mm-hmm.
But then going back to school, taking the classes. I was still doing well in those, so it was like, oh, I'm a natural. Like, I got this. Like, finally found my calling. And then I started getting like 300 level classes at the same time. Did my first CADS project with kids that were way smarter than me, had done CADS projects, had done all this stuff before, were a year older than me, had done a lot, and immediately Dunning-Kruger crashed down to, where perceived knowledge is way below actual knowledge, and was like, I gotta quit. Like, if this is who I'm gonna be up against, like, I'm gonna suck. I'm never gonna make it in this field. I'm never gonna do it again. And then I'm trying to think. There was something that there's no specific thing that happened that made the switch flip, except for the closest thing I can put my hand is when we were presenting sort of for this first CADS project, for the one where I was feeling terrible about myself. It was also happened with the COVID semester, so that wasn't fun. But we were presenting the final work to the client, showing them, and they loved it. And that's when I think my perceived knowledge hit sort of back to equilibrium where my actual knowledge was. I think it is actually important to get a confidence booster from someone who is higher up than you or someone who does know a lot more than you. And that's where I think leaders and teachers and mentors can come into play. I think that's probably their most important job, is getting people over that hump.
So that's kind of where my answer of like how to get through it, which I don't think it, yes, I think it might mean more if it's from a mentor or someone who's better, but just even having people in your life that are like, you can do this. Like, go for it. Like people call it support system, friend group.
Yeah.
For example, like skydiving, we talk about it a lot, and I've been doing it for 2 months now. Mm-hmm. And parts of that, I'm like, do I really want to go? Like, inside my brain, I'm like, it's a little scary. Like, when I'm there, I have no fear. I love it. But, like, some reason why, like, Saturday morning when I wake up to go to my truck, I'm sitting like, do I really want to go? And I sit there, I'm like, well, I told them I was going to go, so I'm going to go.
Yeah.
Or I tell people that I'm skydiving. And so it's just like that little reminder of, okay, I can do this.
Yeah.
And it helps me get through that. Just because
I think also push. Like when you have that support system, like the positive reinforcement just goes such a long way.
I think for everyone, yeah. Even people are like, oh, I don't care what people like. If your friend says, hey man, you did great, that warms your heart a little bit.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Even
makes you smile, makes your day.
In your mind you're like, oh, I was terrible. Like,
yeah, and they're like, dude, that was so awesome. Bad. Or like, keep it up. Like you look great out there. Whatever it is. That goes a lot longer than when we say it to people we even think it does.
Yeah.
And yeah, maybe that's why people don't like trying new things, is because so few people have that. Like, you guys see those studies where like 50% of Americans like don't even have, or like feel lonely and feel like they have no one in their life.
Men over 40 are like, it's like 87%.
Yeah,
that's made up. I know it's high, are depressed because they don't have friends.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Like, they have their wife, and that's it, right? Yeah, even that sometimes. And you get that point where, and even like generally, and this is a generalization, so no one yell at me, guys in my environmental life and society don't openly talk about that. Like, oftentimes don't encourage it because it can be weird to do that or whatever.
Right.
But when it does happen, you're like, yeah. Or like when a girl does it, like, hey, dude, you did great out there. It's like, yeah, you know?
Yeah, I did.
Like, it has meaning. No matter what people say or think, it helps.
It does help.
And so I don't think that's the only way to get through. It gives you
motivation.
But it helps push you into it. Because you sit there, and when you're in that hump, you're like, I can't do this. And when someone sits there and is like, yes, you can, that helps you know you can. Because you can.
There's also looking at how far you've come, too. If you want to, let's say, okay, say you're someone who's not motivated by other people, you're a very self-motivated person. I mean, looking back at some old stuff I wrote in R or something, which is data science stuff, it's like, wow, this is awful. Like, this sucks. Like, I was an idiot, and now I'm way better than I was. Or like photography, having Natalie roast me, our
photography professor,
like
love
having
that
her roast me, and then now roasting myself at the earlier pictures I took, and
it's good to like see progress. With your work and
I will say, going into art critiques, because the business school, we didn't have that. It was all competition, always. art school, we all saw this because we all took photo classes. You'd go into a critique, and my mindset instantly was they're going to be here to like grade me poorly and tear my work apart. But the way everyone else went into art school is like, oh, they're going to tell me how I should work and be better and offer advice.
Mm-hmm.
And when I made that switch,
and like no one's gonna be like, oh, this is crap.
But like that's how I felt when people were like, oh, maybe you could try this, because my perspective was on them trying to tear me down. But when I flipped it, like, oh, they're just trying to help me be better. That's where my work started to take off and changed. Yeah, that's perspective.
I mean, it's like the old marshmallow building thing.
We did that in one of our business core classes.
Yeah, like all the business students go in and they all try to take charge and compete, and their marshmallow tower ends up falling apart. And then when like the 5-year-olds do it, they end up building a thing that reaches the ceiling.
Yeah, it's true. It happens. Google it. It's awesome to watch.
Yeah,
I think I've seen that before.
Probably they use it at like a lot of events, and they're like, "Look what this is," and then they talk.
It's probably
about
crap
it.
psych, but it reinforces my priors,
Hey,
so I believe everything about it.
Yeah. So I don't know. It just like it's hard to stick with things. I think if you can admit that to yourself and drop the like, if you're too prideful to admit that you can't stick with things, that's a problem.
Right.
If you can drop that and sit there and be like, "Hey, I know this is hard. I know this is where I'm at. If you want to stick with it," I guess our advice is like, find people that will encourage you to get through it.
Find a support system.
Yeah.
And you can muscle down and go through it yourself, but I feel like a lot of people struggle doing it.
Well, that goes back to community too. Like when you are starting to get good at a new thing and starting to meet people, like you were good at this with the skydiving thing. You were just suddenly ingrained in the community.
Well, I think that's because they were open. Like if I didn't have that, I don't know if I would still like. I love skydiving, but there's still been that feeling, right? It's like, oh, I'm getting up. I have to work on these things. I'm not as good as I thought. Like we were saying, if I didn't have that community of like, hey, you gonna come next week? Like, where you been, man? You haven't been coming.
Yeah.
It would be a lot easier not to go.
Yeah, and it's like the community is like people that are going through the same thing as you, which is really cool because like they've either experienced it or they are experiencing it or they're like about to experience it because they're newer than you or something.
Yeah.
So like it's just all sorts of experience there, and people are going to help you out and you're going to help them out.
I will say
can be toxic too, though. That's the
thing. So it's finding ones that are healthy.
Healthy communities that are doing
that push you in the right ways, and it's
stuff.
not peer pressured.
Yeah.
There's a difference between encouragement and peer pressure.
Yeah. Well, also just you don't want to be part of a group of a-holes. Like if you're doing something, you should. If you're doing something you love, it always sucks. I feel like that might be another reason people quit things. If you're doing something they love it, and then they end up joining the community, and it turns out the entire community are a bunch of toxic
people,
jerks.
Like the disc golf community is like huge, but like it can be toxic. But there's also like the community that's like good and like they help people out and they give advice and critiques and stuff, and so but it's huge. So like it can go either way.
Are they like the popular disc golfers? Or are they like the kids that are they got the
well, like because disc golf is growing so much, like it's just like I'm in like Facebook groups on Facebook, obviously, and just I go to a course and like some people will like want to play with me or something, like they don't have anyone else, so they're like, hey, can I play with you, like throw with you? And it's
cool.
The few times I've actually like done that, like it's good every time. Like people are supportive and they're like, oh dude, that was such a good shot. Sick drive, dude.
Yeah, like when I play disc golf and I see someone do that, I'm like, heck yeah, dude, that was awesome.
Like, the people like playing disc golf, like in tournaments and stuff, they're so positive, and they'll be like, if they see a good shot, they'll let you know. They're like, that was a great shot, dude. Even though you're competing against them, they'll still like be like, oh, sick drive, dude.
Respect.
Have you guys ever heard of Bowling Alone?
No.
There's a book, I think it was written in like the 90s, but the author's premise is essentially that like he took a look at a lot of sort of traditional social like groups and like gatherings in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
And he basically observed throughout the 60s, 70s, going on all throughout the 90s, PTA boards, bowling leagues, what do you call it? Like the Lions clubs or whatever those are called, all saw like massive just declines over time. To the point where, when it was written in the 90s, they were at their all-time low, and they're still very, very low. So the one he focuses, why it's called bowling alone. The number of people in bowling leagues is just completely different from what it is now. Now, granted, there are other communities out there, like skydiving, and there's other things, new things that he didn't take a look at. But overall, like the number of sort of social groups that there are just looking at the United States is way lower than it ever was.
That was written in the 90s.
Maybe that's why people don't like doing new things, is because there's way fewer like social communities out there.
I do think that's true. I also think because people are, we've got to a point where we're scared to meet new people.
Yeah.
Like, not necessarily that blanket of a statement, but if you're gonna go somewhere, a lot of times you're, hey man, can you come with me? I don't want to go alone.
Who's gonna be there?
And if you don't know anyone, a lot of people wouldn't go, right? Like, I'm not just going to go sign up for some random bowling league. Now, I do because...
Yeah, like, you want to do stuff with, like, your best buddies and, like, your friends.
And so it's just,
stuff.
like, you're so far in this, I guess you can call it an echo chamber of doing this because that's all your friends do, and you don't do it. Like, you don't branch out. Unless you have a friend that's like, hey, man, I want to go to this bowling league because I love bowling. Would you come with me? That way I know someone there. Because I think a lot of people struggle going somewhere alone. And...
Because they don't know what the community is going to be like.
Which I would argue that most communities are probably pretty open. Like, if someone came by themselves, I would say generally people are nice and would let them in.
Right.
If they don't, you don't want to be a part of that community.
That's called a cult at that point.
Or just like, toxic community at that point.
Yeah.
It's just like, okay.
That's a good vibe check right there. Like, okay, cool, bye.
Yeah.
So I think you're onto something, but I also think there's another side to it is people just don't go to groups as much.
Yeah. No, I think...
not even because there might be less, yes, but maybe there's less because people also are scared to go more. Maybe. I don't know.
Maybe. Also, social media has completely destroyed our ability to interact.
We talked about that on one of the episodes. We had a lot of beef
episode.
with social media, and the pros of it do not outweigh the cons. Like, it's ironic that it's social media and
we put the guy who doesn't have any
Anti-social media.
friends in charge of Mark Zuckerberg, in charge
We're
of
still coming for you, Mark.
I hate that guy. I'm not on the I hate billionaire hate train, but I genuinely want to see him like begging in the street with a freaking tin cup begging for pencils.
FBI, he does not mean that for legal purposes.
I'm not. Just no. Come on. There's no. I'm not gonna do anything to him. I hope fate does it to him.
Well, we know where Charlie's at with the whole Facebook thing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, social media. I don't know. We talked about it. It's an interesting thing out there, and it's new, and so there isn't.
It's also a way that these communities like form groups.
People can use it for
starting
good.
They're starting to do that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like my skydiving group on Facebook.
I'm sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Or disc golf, or like Parker, my friend, has his whiskey groups. Like, you
There's a
can use
whiskey
it for
group.
good. But I think majority of it does not turn into good.
That's been a lot of Facebook's marketing recently that I've noticed where they have like this ad that they play showing a skateboarding group. So I think
I did see that ad.
Yeah, they're trying to move
that's the
people
only
more
reason I use
into
Facebook anymore.
I don't use Facebook
Yeah.
still.
that, and also telling us all why the vaccine has a microchip in it. That's also a very important reason to have Facebook. Anyways, no, but they're pushing more now into like actual human interaction with with like-minded people. Like going on a skateboarding group or skydiving or whatever. Which that's a positive development.
This is actually a perfect segment
give
into
Seth
the
that
story I have to end this. The groups on social media.
Okay.
So Charlie knows about this.
Segue.
Paul doesn't know this.
Please do tell.
So bringing up groups on social media.
Keep it secrets from me, Andrew.
Yes Theory, which I have mentioned once on this podcast. They have a big... No, I'm going to start keeping things from you so we can discuss on the pod. That's where our friendship is going.
Okay.
Just so you know. Like, we didn't talk about skydiving on purpose, so we can talk about it on here. Anyway, Yes Theory, or actually it was Seek Discomfort's Instagram, posted this. It's on my hat. Posted this photo on Instagram yesterday, and in the comments it said, let's play a game, post or like comment your favorite song and go through and like it if you find someone that has the same one. And if you like it, add everyone into an Instagram group and then answer the questions on the next page. And it was like, where are you from?
This was on Instagram?
Yes. And it was like, where are you from? What's your favorite Yes Theory video? And what's your most proud Seek Discomfort moment? And so I found one that said Lainey, and I was like, yeah, I like that. Because I was scrolling through, and they're all like, you know, Adele, Taylor Swift, which I like, you know, but I was like, where's mine? You know,
Where's
finally
Coin?
I found a Lainey, and there I couldn't find Coin or Quinn. So I found Lainey first, and I was like, I'll like it. I got added to this group, and there's 12 people in it, and it just instantly became this, like, everyone was messaging, getting to know each other, talking about moments like we seek discomfort. There's people from Europe, there's a person from Brisbane, Australia,
Whoa.
Seattle, which is important to the story here soon, and people all over the world.
Whoa.
Just talking, right?
I want to do
And
this.
it's called Lainey Yes Fam, is the Instagram now. And we got to the point where it's like, we should all go see a Lainey concert together. And we don't know each other, and this is after an hour of just DMing back. And so this guy goes, I have tickets for the Seattle one, November 5th. And he goes, I will pick you up from the airport if you guys come. And I said, are you serious? And he's like, yep. So I now have a ticket to Seattle
Bought it in the
to
car on the
Laney,
way to
and I also
skydiving.
have a plane ticket. And this happened today in an hour worth.
Whoa.
And the guy is 25. He's a photographer. He met them. He met Amar, Matt, and Thomas because he lived in L.A.
Yeah.
And so he actually did work with them. And he just moved to Seattle. And he's like, if you guys do it, I'm down. Like, yes, fam, all the way. And I was like, I'm going to do it. I was like, in Seattle, I've never been. I have a free place to stay. The tickets are the cheapest they've ever been. It's like literally, you know how Google shows the chart of price? It's very left on the cheap. Yeah. And now I have a ticket to see Lainey in Seattle on November 5th. And I'm leaving Thursday night. The concert's Friday. Then we're going to go on an adventure on Saturday. And then I fly back Sunday with people I never know, have never met, just because we have the mutual interest of Yes Theory and spontaneous trips.
That is awesome. Crazy, dude.
Like, I
That's
literally buy a ticket in
amazing.
the car, and I'm like, this is hilarious. You should definitely do this.
Like, off of one invite, the guy's like, because we brought up, like, as a joke, like, oh, where are we going to meet up? And the dude's like, I already have a ticket to Seattle. Anyone want to come? And I was like, why not? Like, let's do it.
Are you the only one going?
No, there's one other person coming. And then, like, the group's still talking because
so
one girl's from China. So
he has the ticket?
he has the ticket. I have a ticket now. I bought
So
it.
you
It's
had to
general admission.
buy.
I bought a ticket. Yep. They were still
And
open
then you
for
had to
sale.
buy an airplane ticket.
Yes. Which was
Okay.
actually very, very
Yeah.
cheap.
Hmm.
So,
see, that's what I always wanted. The
that's
internet to
amazing.
be. That's what I always wished the internet would be before it got cucked up, and it was suddenly like, oh, it's gonna be everyone's just
weirdos.
gonna everyone's gonna interact virtually, and we're all just gonna see. We're gonna, you know what? Hey, poke. Oh my God, that's
Facebook
so cool.
poke. I
Oh
forgot
my
that's
God,
a thing,
it's
dude.
So cool.
Can you still
We're gonna
poke?
get
I think you
poke
can.
wars.
Can you still poke
We're gonna
on Facebook?
awkwardly. That's gonna be flirting in 8th grade. It's gonna be so
poked
cool.
you. Hey,
And then you go to class the next morning. You're like,
dude, I
hey,
poked her
yeah, I poked you.
on Facebook.
Why didn't you like
Look back.
interact or
Yeah.
respond or whatever
Yeah.
it's called?
No.
Yeah, and then we're gonna, you know
Why
what?
didn't you
We're
poke
gonna
me
give
back?
we're gonna give children a bunch of freaking visual stimulus, and they're just gonna be staring at this thing for hours, and that's how they're gonna interact with each other forever. That's what you do when you put human interaction. You give it to
Online.
a sociopath. Well, you put a sociopath in charge of human interaction.
I love how much you're going for.
The guy put like horse heads on his like dorm room wall, and it was supposed to be like ex.
That's gonna be the title of the podcast.
Mark
What?
Zuckerberg, we're coming
Down
for
with
you.
Zuckerberg.
No, I'm not coming for it. I just hope fate does, or the FBI, or like, you know,
The Supreme Court.
the antitrust. I actually don't think it's a monopoly, but either way.
No, it's not. But
Yeah. Anyways, I hate.
so the
him.
internet should do that more often. Connect, because I would have never met these people.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that's what.
And
yeah.
I want that.
That's
I
what
wasn't
kinda
even
Reddit
gonna
is.
do it, but I was like, why not? Like, I love meeting
Can
new
I
people.
still do that?
Yeah, they post it. Go find a group.
Bet.
Like, I'm serious.
I will.
I thought about joining
After this
more just
podcast.
because, like, also the amount of this is just so cool because these people don't know each other. One girl started opening up about like her life and how work has been depressing her and like her anxiety. And all these people started flooding with like, hey, like I've been there. This is where like I did and how I am now. And she's like, this is literally what I needed to hear.
That's what Yik Yak kind of. Oh, speaking of which, the
Yik Yak is back.
The Yak is back, but Yik Yak, it was pretty toxic most of the time. But there were times when like someone would say like, "Oh, I'm like really depressed," I'm sad, and people would just like flood them with like positivity and like all this stuff and like, please, here's all these mental health resources and stuff. That's what the internet could be if it wasn't such a toxic cesspool.
It's so toxic.
Dude,
Yik Yak
was
was
so cool.
I forgot to tell you, by the way, that group was encouraging you to skydive because I said, hey, my friend's going skydiving. They're all like, he's got it. Let's go, man.
That's what I'm saying. The internet could be such
it is that.
thing.
It can be that. So like it is.
That.
It has that. It has negative sides. Just use it for that good.
It's also got positive.
Instead, the most important thing in the world is that we're not unfair to people saying that the measles vaccine has the mark of the beast in it, because otherwise, oh my God, like
you can tell Charlie comes from a medical family and does a lot of data.
And I hate stupid people. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so I'm going to see Lainey.
That's amazing.
In Seattle.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So off of a hour-long conversation. Well, they're still messaging in the group chat. It's been going off all day.
I love that. It's so positive.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
So positive.
yeah. I mean, then they got into like, what's your favorite colors, and talked about like why, and we did the generals, we did deep stuff.
What color do
What
you
is your
see me
favorite-
as?
Huh?
What is your favorite color?
I would say red in generally, but darker red's like maroon or something like
That's
that.
my favorite color, dude.
I know we've had this conversation several times. Damn.
Not on the pod though.
Not on the pod.
Yeah,
That's
not
true.
on
My
the
favorite
pod.
color is red.
Mine's blue.
I
I
can see
like
Yeah.
maroon,
that. And purple.
aqua, and purple.
Yeah. But yeah. So,
So tell us your
group's gonna be
favorite
good.
colors in the tip jar.
or just in the comments or wherever you want to do it.
And give us a detailed explanation why at least 500 words.
Yep.
Cite sources.
But I don't know. Moral of that story is
Just freaking do it.
just do it.
Just
Like-
do it.
Human connection is awesome. Meeting people is awesome. I love the way you put it. It's like community, like, can mean so much. It can bring so much. And so, like,
Yep.
when you try new things, because we never got into this part, like, one of the benefits is the community,
Yeah.
the feelings you get. You might find something you love or you find something you hate. Guess what? You know you don't like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's no reason not to try new things. And just find that community that helps you get through it, I think.
Yeah, and also, I mean, there are people who suffer from like social anxiety and things
Yep.
like that, and we're not trying to like
Know
discredit
yourself.
that as like you've got nothing, you got nothing to worry about. Like obviously, if you do, but yeah, and we're not trying to discredit that at all. We're just
No, no,
saying,
no.
Like,
It's more like know
it's very easy-
yourself.
It's very easy to build up those things in your head.
Know your limits.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
But I would say, like, at the end of the day, push yourself just a little bit
yeah.
and see what
Growth
happens.
outside the comfort zone. Using old
So,
cliche.
yeah.
Yeah. What's the challenge for this week, Andrew?
Ooh, I haven't been thinking of this. My challenge of the week for the people is look at your life, find something new you've tried recently, and ask yourself, like, why you stopped.
And then do
It's
it
a simple
again.
one. Well, if they like it, yeah, go for it again. This is me telling you, as your encouragement, you are good enough. You can do it. Believe in yourself. Look at the cat poster that says, hang on there in the corner of your room. You can do it. So go do it if you liked it. If not, go do something new this week. That's my challenge.
I like it.
That's a good one.
Yeah, we are a little over time. So, Charlie, any last things you want to say to the people, whether it's about data or trying new things or, anything off the top of your head? You'll probably be back on eventually, so there'll be part 2 sometime.
Oh yeah, definitely. This was fun. Yeah, basically, I kind of like that challenge. Do Andrew's challenge, and also if you are in that sort of dip in the Dunning-Kruger effect of, oh my God, I'm not as good at this as I thought. Just take a look back and see how far you've come. Kind of just open your first project or file or attempt at doing something, and then laugh about how bad it is, and then be happy about how good what you do, what you're doing now is. Yeah.
I like that. Paul,
Love it.
any final remarks from the man named Paul?
That's me. Yeah, like Charlie was saying, just go do it. Like, even if you've struggled with it in the past, and like you're like, oh, I'll never be as good as so and so, or I'll never like master it. Who cares? If you enjoy it, keep doing it.
Yeah.
Just have fun with it.
I'll add one last thing onto that. Realistically, there's always going to be someone better than you. And so you can constantly compare yourself to someone that's better than you.
Unless you're the best.
There's never a best.
There's always the best.
Anyway, Paul, it doesn't matter what other people is. It's about you. Like Charlie said, if you look back a year ago and you were there and now you're here, that's a win. It's you versus you. It's not you versus the world. Like, realize that. You shouldn't be comparing yourself to others. Just compare yourself to that past self.
That's like a funny meme I saw real quick.
That's why I said, who cares?
All right, so I saw, it was a meme. It was basically this guy. He's like doing modern art. You know, it's very cartoony, but he's doing modern art, and he says, "I'll never be as good as the old masters." And it goes back to someone probably from like the 1800s, and it's like, "Oh, I'll never be as good as the old masters." And then another guy doing art in probably the Renaissance era. And it's like, oh, I'll never be as good as the old masters. And then the last one is like a caveman looking at a drawing of like a stick figure. And it just said, I'm the best. So yeah, like don't compare yourself to others. That's great advice. It's like,
just go
I'll
for
never
it,
be as good as the
guys.
old masters.
Just go for
they
it.
were probably saying the same thing.
Yeah. I don't know. Let us know what you do too. Like I would be amped just to hear like whether it's
we
want to
hear your stories for the 5th time.
We want to know. I like knowing that stuff. Like, I don't know.
We want to know.
But anyway, that's kind of all we got for today. But one last thing, a message from our sponsors, because I didn't do that earlier. My bank account, or Project Unaware, if you want to call it that. Check it out, projectunaware.com. There's a blog, podcast, probably future in the making, clothing brand, because it's cool design and stuff. So yeah, go check that out. Support us.
Design coming soon.
Design's coming soon.
Should we do people that owe us money? Like, let's see, HelloFresh.
HelloFresh.
Facebook. 'Cause I said they
Skydive
weren't
Cincinnati. I
that bad.
hyped you up a lot. He's even wearing your like gator. But yeah, anyway, just check us out. We'd appreciate it. Let us know what you think. But that is it for today. Make sure to follow us up on social, and we love you and see you next week.
See you next week.
Sleaze. Yeah, say sleaze.
Sleaze.